Hello. Hi. And hello, Rob.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome, welcome.
How are you? It's been a while, hasn't it? How are you doing?
It's been a long time,
Yeah.
Rob, and it's so lovely to have you here. Rob, I'm going to introduce you to everybody because I know who you are, but our lovely everyone else doesn't. First of all, this is the amazing Sam,
Hey,
who's
Sam.
been
Hello.
Hi, Rob. He's been doing these lives with me, and it's been such an honor. And I'm so glad you've joined us, Rob. Rob is a writer, a director, a producer, and he works mostly in the amazing world of audio drama. And it's just been incredible to see your journey, Rob. Like, obviously, I know you because, first of all, you directed the adaptation of my play, Delete, but then you were incredibly generous and uh, introduced me to the amazing people at Big Finish and got me involved in some amazing Doctor Who projects as well, which was just a dream come true. But that's like a tiny fraction of what you do, and you're award winning and you adapt TV to audio, books to audio, plays to audio, and then loads and loads of original drama as well. I mean, it really, how do you fit it in? I've got so many questions.
Well, kind of being single and childless helps. I won't lie. Um, well, I'm a sole trader. I'm a freelancer, and I say yes to everything if unless I hate the project or haven't got the time to do it. So yeah, so I like being busy. I like being busy. The kind of as a writer, and you'll know this though. There is always the pressure and the need to have kind of the kind of the X number of spec scripts ready to go, and I find myself in arguably the enviable position of being too busy writing for a living to write around my day job, but because that's kind of the irony is that you're always trying to write around the day job.
Yeah, but what a day job. What a day
Yeah,
job.
yeah, it's something I definitely fell into really. And I'm just I do think there's a very limited degree that you have any kind of really control over what happens to you. All you can do is kind of just make the best decisions you can one day at a time, and just take advantage of the kind of the situations you find yourself in. Really.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's really interesting, I think, because, you do seem to say yes to a lot of stuff, but you still have managed to, create an incredibly high quality kind of body of work and career. So it doesn't feel like that, it feels like you've been really kind of selective and curated what you do. But before we get into all the amazing kind of companies and projects that you've been involved in, let's go back. Let's go right back. And, here at Putting the World to Rights, it's all about story in whatever form. And it would be really great to just get a sense of, young Rob, where he started off and where stories in whatever form they were in kind of became important and significant to you.
Oh, well, bedtime, being read to sleep, and then primary school. Actually, no, before primary school, nursery school, being sitting down, on the rug with the rest of the class, being read to. So Each Peach Pear Plum by Janet and Alan Alberg is still one of my favourites. I could probably still recite most of it all now. And then getting a little bit older, the Village with Three Corners. Just when you're learning to read, and obviously Ladybird books. My goodness, yeah, Ladybird books, a massive part of just falling in love with stories, but also the written word, the spoken word, but also just the glorious illustrations as well.
Yes.
The storytelling in art. It's but actually back to Each Peach Pear Plum. It's just hope you're all familiar with it, but it's just that was one of those stories that it ties all the fairy tales together, and then you kind of realise that all these fairy tales, from a certain point of view, kind of all exist in the same imaginary space, and all the illustrations kind of show that because in the background of each one you can see the next story and all that stuff. So yeah, really, yeah, it's being told stories as children. I think that's how most of us begin, really.
Absolutely.
Was was there a specific moment where you realised that kind of you weren't just someone that loved to read or listen to or get told stories, but you had the passion and talent to tell those stories as well.
It doesn't just begin, I think, with just playing. I think before trying to tell stories yourself, I think maybe just playtime just becomes more elaborate than it
Yeah.
might be for other people, possibly more real. And then, at school, my favorite homework was, getting to write stories in English. Yeah, so that's really it. And actually, during the pandemic, if you sent me to, a desert island or something, I'd still write, even if no one was going to see it, because it's a compulsion, which, if you're lucky, you can kind of turn into something. But yeah, that's probably it.
Do you remember any of those early stories, Rob?
Yeah, actually, I remember class four. I wrote a story called "Bitch Witch," and I remember Mrs. Pointer having to explain to me that's not a very nice word. And I thought, well, what's wrong with witch? But that was all about. I think it was quite sort of George's Marvelous Medicine inspired, about
Yeah.
a potion that goes wrong and a bottle falls off the shelf into the cauldron that shouldn't have done. Yeah, that's one of the early ones I seem to recall, largely for getting told off about the title, I think.
Brilliant. I love that. Breaking the rules at a young age. Love it.
Are we ever
What's
going to return to it?
Maybe. If the Big Finish draw gets a little bit thin, I might pull that one out. Yeah.
pitch it to them, see? So we've got all those early kind of inspirations and stories. And then what about kind of moving forward? Are there stories, books, again, whatever format they were in, that kind of you can um, connect with certain milestones or eras in your life that felt significant or that you could resonate with at the time?
Well, I was thinking about this, and I think possibly a lot of my kind of cosmic worldview was probably influenced by reading Douglas Adams's The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy books around the age of 10 or 11. Because I read them before I listened to the radio series and before I saw it on TV. So I kind of think, kind of, at that age when you're kind of starting to develop a proper view of the world and the way things are, yeah, I think Hitchhikers spoke to me quite profoundly, I think. So I think it's possibly a bigger influence on me, not as a writer, but just as a person in the world than I might usually be aware of, I suspect.
Amazing.
What is it about audio drama specifically that inspires you to create and like fuels you to create?
Well, in all honesty, it's a medium that's very easy to get into, and there are very few gatekeepers. There are very few people stopping you from doing it. Because when I got into it through wireless theatre in about 2007 or so, it was a period of time when no one cared about audio drama. There was no gatekeepers because there were no gates to anywhere. No one had figured out how to monetize it or make a living doing it. We just suddenly had a thing called the iPod, and which is this incredible new thing. Yes, MP3 players meant that suddenly there was a communicable platform to do audio drama on, obviously to do drama on. And I'm kind of more of a frustrated screenwriter, if anything. But with audio drama, you can type exterior night, and you haven't suddenly increased the budget exponentially. I like telling big damn adventures, essentially, and audio drama is a place where you can tell big damn adventures. And the only budgetary considerations are how big is the cast and how long is it really.
Mm.
So it suits the genre or genres I'm into really.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let's talk about those genres, because I mean, when I look at your work, it expands, It spans so many genres, some amazing. I mean, I don't know what I want to ask you first, like in terms of the companies and the organizations that you've worked with, but let's put that aside for now, since you've mentioned, genres. Now, I know that you've worked in fantasy, erotic drama, sci-fi, gritty realism, and so much more. Why don't you talk us through some of that, and what your journey has been through with those genres, but also how they vary in terms of the stories that you tell in audio because of the genre.
Yeah, well, I suppose boiling it down to kind of just the purest form, I like adventures, but within that, adventures with a touch of the fantastic, but also I like historical drama. So really, I suppose we all have a Venn diagram, and mine kind of does encapsulate adventure, sort of fantasy, sci-fi by accident. Really, I'm not actually naturally drawn to sci-fi, but kind of in the online world, it's kind of a way to get arrested, basically, because you really are howling at the moon otherwise. Yeah, so yeah, and history. So where those things overlap, I mean, a lot of Doctor Who is historical adventure with a dash of fantasy and science fiction. Yeah, so it's just a happy accident that that's kind of my sweet spot, really. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
But I did actually find, though, I discovered when pitching to Radio 4 a couple of years ago that I'm a sci-fi and fantasy writer, and I don't mind being typecast at all. But I just have that thing of no, 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 no. I'm a sci-fi, fantasy, and history writer. I just thought you're missing the really important one there. But
It's
yeah.
important.
That
Yeah.
one changes everything.
Yeah, no, no, completely, completely, and yes, I'm history buff, and I just the past is another country, and it's it's just fun, telling stories. Actually, my thing is secret histories, or hidden histories, which is actually the Three Musketeers is it's an adventure story about or it's a political thriller about fictional characters, but against the backdrop of French and British history. So that's my jam, really. Yeah.
Love that. And everything like I just said can be elevated with a bit of history. Before I came onto like Bookstagram and things, I never really was a fan of historical fiction and things, but that's my favorite now. I'm so there for it.
Oh, and that's the thing. It's you can go where you like, and also the rules of the world change everything because
Mhm.
you know the most profound obstacles are the social ones. Worlds where you can't just tell someone you love them. It's all the tiny little traps of the world you find yourself in, and yeah, I really love it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Think so many things that we take for granted as well.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah. How do you navigate between staying true to your own voice and commercial viability in such like a competitive and now quite big industry?
Um, I'm strongly of the opinion that you can't escape your voice. Your voice, it's like you can't escape your fingerprints. If anything, it's impossible trying to hide it. So I think even if you're trying to submerge your own identity in something you're writing, people will go, nah, yeah, there's the tell, it's them, So I don't worry about my voice or finding it or anything because it's there already, and I've just got, I'm just kind of, I'm very kind of, I've just, it's not I have the confidence that I have my voice. It's just that I am confident in the fact that my voice is inescapable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that yeah, and within that, I'm quite proudly a hack for hire. It's like pay me, I'll write that. Yeah. In audio, I kind of think of it. I don't want to sound pretentious, but kind of like screenwriters like Ben Hecht, but in their New York careers, writing just a ridiculous amount of radio. And I think really, in terms of finding your voice as well, it's just the craft, and it's an art and a craft, but it's really a craft of just knowing this has to work, it has to get made, so these are the things to make it work. And if if I just think if you're, as complete a human being as you can possibly make yourself, then kind of the art part of it looks after itself, and you just work, you focus on how to make the story work so it's recordable and it's needed, and also it's needed in a week or whatever.
Yeah.
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 That's so
Um,
important, isn't it? I think demystifying a lot of that is just so important. I think you're brilliant at that, Rob, because again, your body of work speaks for itself, but it is so creative and it does have a very particular voice within these quite, established often, worlds and characters and lore and, universes sometimes. And it's I think sometimes aspiring writers or writers that kind of start out um, struggle sometimes, and I find this across a lot of different mediums as well in terms
Hmm.
of art, is just people understanding the practicalities as well, like you said, Sam, how to make it viable, but also just how to get it done in time, how to make it work for this format, for this particular series, whatever it may be. And I think sometimes the practicalities of being a working writer is really important, to kind of share, because there's a lot about creativity and character development and story arc and all of that, but at the end of the day, it's a job as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But jobs just you have. Then again, maybe also because I've got a sufficient degree of experience that I don't know. Have you ever like driven to work or a family member's house and you pull up and you go, hang on, I have no idea how I got here. Yeah, because you've done it so much. It's all your brain. It's all the subroutines in your brain. I've been doing it long enough now that I kind of feel I'm kind of yeah. Sometimes I know I've made that work. Like I couldn't tell you quite how I did it, but it's yeah.
Yeah.
But I think it's really important to demystify all this because there is no mystery. And I kind of think mystifying the process and mystifying making art really is a form of gatekeeping because it's saying no, I've got the secret, I've got the magic flame, I'm one of the elect people who can do it. It's like no, it's like learning to swim, or if you can like this is not an original saying, but someone said it. But if you can learn how to reverse park, you can write a script. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah. It's these are skills. The only thing that you might discover is that you've got all the craft you need to tell a story, but you might discover you've got nothing to say, and
Wow.
that might mean one of a few things. It might mean you need a holiday, or it might mean just you need to just reading for pleasure, or just you need to go and live a bit, or
Yeah,
or have something dreadful happen to you or wonderful happen to you, because then you've got the thing to put inside the vessel.
yeah,
But yeah, but the good thing is, if you're being paid to do something, it's kind of like the difference between being sort of an oil painter, an artist, and like a graphic designer who just is given the assignment and like, yes, I'll make that work for you.
yeah.
But if you can
yeah,
smuggle in a bit of beauty and truth at the same time, then you're winning basically.
Which you
I love
often
that.
do.
Well, I try.
And succeed at.
Well, the
Absolutely.
invoice they pay the invoices and they keep asking me back. So it's
That's a good sign.
you can't ask for much more, really.
What would you say? I know you've done so many
Hmm.
things. Has been the most surreal, pinch me, oh my God, I did it moment in your career so far?
Actually, I don't know. It wasn't like a particularly a, a creative pinnacle, but maybe something like writing a Doctor Who script for Tom Baker, only because it's that kind of this is amazing and wonderful, but also I'm fully aware there is no way I could have planned for this to happen. It's the delightful things that just come along by virtue of you just getting on with what you're doing. Maybe that's it.
Mm.
But then again, to be honest, I think a lot of the best moments are just when a story works or a scene works, or actually maybe it's when you're and this maybe. it's different. It's different for everyone, and maybe the medium too. But sometimes you can, when you're the audience of something you made, and for a moment you can forget you were involved in it, and it actually just works on you. I've never had a whole thing like that work on me, but maybe a scene. Usually it's like that. What this what oh this sequence really works,
Yeah,
and I can be an audience member for it. So maybe those are the most profound things. Maybe.
that's
Lovely.
really special.
Yeah, yeah, that really makes sense. Absolutely. Um, and it's really hard to know where to start. I mean, we've mentioned a bit of your work with Doctor Who for Big Finish, and it's so huge what you do. And there's so many different kind of strands to that, and spin-offs, and storylines, and yeah,
Yeah.
different doctors. So it would be lovely to talk about that. But I also just want to mention that you've done so much for Audible, for Radio 4, and it would be remiss of us to not talk a bit about the original wireless theatre, and
Oh,
just
yeah. I mean, that's where I began entirely, and I'm still working with them now.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
just for
yeah.
everyone who doesn't know who wireless theatre are, and you would explain it better, but we have an old friend in common who is Marielle Runacre Temple, who started off training with me at drama school, actually. But she was much, much savvier than I was, and had a passion for audio for way before it was cool, way before people were doing podcasts and things like that. Like you said, Rob, when the iPod was first invented. And so she created Wireless Theatre, and it was the first platform really which had such a rich offering of audio content, really. And, like you said at the time, it just felt like it's so original. Apart from Radio 4, which is a very different beast. I don't know who else was doing what Marielle and, you guys, the team were doing at the time. Do you want to tell us a bit about that first, and then we can move into the other kind of people that you've worked with and for?
Oh, well, absolutely, because everything kind of came from there, really, from Wireless Theatre. Yeah, so Marielle founded Wireless Theatre, and I think the company's sort of tagline when they first started was it was drama for the iPod generation, which dates us quite profoundly. But yeah, so it was they needed stuff to produce, so my friend Jack Bowman and I wrote a series called The Springheel Saga together about the Victorian
Yeah,
boatman Springheel Jack. And so yeah, and the first series of that, we got Julian Glover to be the villain, and maybe that was quite a pinch me moment, and possibly like that was the kind of the cure for my imposter syndrome in a way, or rather, no, everyone is an imposter. That's the truth. But it was just that realization that oh, hang on, no. Actors are hireable. You can hire them the same way you can hire plumbers, and they'll
yeah,
do the job for you. And it was that was a demystifying thing for me. But also, Julian Glover, who's been in just so much stuff I love, was in our production, and yeah, and so it all kind of came from there really.
mm,
We made something and it turned out sounding like I hoped it would, and that was the first time I'd actually created anything that wasn't an abomination on a slab. Really, it was like no,
well,
we pulled
I
it
mean,
off. You know,
you're being modest, Rob. It was a huge success. Let's
oh,
be real.
what it was because it was a big unabashed adventure story, and adventure is the old it's the Greek myths, the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's kind of it's the purest story form. It's mysteries to solve, quests to go on, and if you got, in a Victorian setting and the monster jumping from rooftop to rooftop, that's just, Hog's heaven for me, really. Yeah, and that's where it all started. Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. And then you went on to work. Well, let's talk about Big Finish, because I don't know where to start with that. So again, for
Yeah.
anybody who
So
doesn't really,
big.
yeah, it's so huge. And Big Finish is the platform which kind of has taken on a lot of the Doctor Who spin-off stories. Is that what you would say?
Yeah,
And the
yes,
old Doctor.
they have the audio license to produce Doctor Who from the BBC, and that's now been extended to 2035.
Wow.
So yeah, quite a few more years left of that particular party.
Yeah.
at the
And
moment.
it's not
Yeah,
just one doctor, you know, that's the other thing is that, you know, the wonderful thing is that they get so many of the old actors that were in so many of the different Doctor Who
yeah.
iterations.
It's
Yeah.
all the doctors and so many other characters. I was in the studio. What day are we on? Yesterday with Derek Jacobi, because he's the War Master. He was for one episode of Doctor Who, and he's the War Master at Big Finish. So yeah, they keep us really busy. And actually, it was announced last week. We're now produced. They've Big Finish now has the audio license from Ian Fleming Publications to adapt the Charlie Higson Young Bond novels. So yes,
Amazing.
we're currently looking for the next James Bond, basically. You know, yeah,
Now
That's
that
not an easy
surely is
yeah,
an
feat.
achievement.
yeah. I know, it's crazy. Yeah, so we're doing in-person auditions a week tomorrow in London, and then we're recording it in the second half of March. So
Mm.
yeah. So Big Finish has been. I mean, I'm a freelancer, but I feel like an employee because I do a lot of stuff with them, and I've made some really wonderful friendships through working with them. Yeah, but that all came, that all grew out of wireless. Really, that was kind of the place where yeah, I fell into that medium. Really, if you want to know the sequence of events, I did the Spring-Heel saga with Jack for wireless. Then I did a series called Red Moon, which is a Cold War, again historical, a Cold War alternative history thriller, and I won the BBC Audio Drama Award for Best Podcast Drama for that. And winning that, that got me to the attention of Big Finish, but it also got me to the attention of BMW. Um,
Wow.
Wow.
and I did a couple of sci-fi series for them called Hypnopolis, series one and
Yes.
two, and then a documentary series for them the year after,
Mm.
and that made me mortgageable. So that was kind of this place. So yeah, so that to say it was life changing is absolutely completely true.
Yeah.
But it was, but also this is the kind of the unpleasant side is that well, it's an ill wind, but COVID was terrible for the arts. Theatre destroyed, film, TV really seriously handicapped, but audio drama was like the hardy crop because it can all be done remotely. And BMW's problem was they had their film budget because they have a film wing, and suddenly they couldn't make films. So they have a podcast wing as well. But they decided that right, we've got the budget, we can't spend it, so let's use it to do a non-branded sci-fi drama series to kind of sell, not to sell BMW itself. It was just BMW Presents, but to sell the BMW idea of the future. So that was a really
Wow.
interesting gig.
Yeah.
But that came about because I won that award, and then they contacted me with an idea, and they asked me to pitch it back to them, and they liked my pitch of their idea back to them, and I got the gig. So it all came from wireless. Wireless is where everything started for me, and
That's
everything after that was just a knock on, really. Right.
congratulations, Rob. What a journey.
Yeah,
Such a
well,
journey.
it's fluid. That's the thing. It's not repeatable. I couldn't give advice on how to be the beneficiary of just chance. But I genuinely think people don't admit how much is just dumb luck sometimes. I mean,
Mm.
the only reason I directed Spring Heel Jack was because I was on a short film shoot with the original director, and then everyone on the film shoot got norovirus apart from me. So with less than 24 hours notice, I directed the Spring Hill Saga.
So
But that's the
hold
thing.
on a minute. So
It,
COVID,
yeah.
norovirus. There's
Here's
there's
the
a
thing.
pattern here.
I seem to do well out of biohazards. Really, Now you mention it. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
You're
I
still
no.
know,
being very
I am
clever.
responsible for neither, probably. But
Hmm.
yeah.
Probably.
But that's the thing. Yeah, but in life you have fortune and misfortune, and in stories too. But there's a degree of it, you can't take credit for, because it's just, and or it could be, there's sometimes it's like, you know, guy gets off a train. If he got off on the next carriage, he wouldn't have been part of Roxy Music, or whatever. It's how people meet people, and it's, they meet the right people, then that leads to the right creative relationship. A lot of there's a definite sliding doors aspect to it that,
Would agree, but I think
yeah.
also you are such a grafter, Rob, and I think it's that saying about like just being ready when the luck finds you, and you're
Yes, yeah, yeah.
such a grafter. However, if you end up playing James Bond because everyone else got mysteriously ill, then I
No,
know who my eye is going to be on.
I know if I was gonna, I've always got my eye on the villain. Real, in all honesty, yeah.
Always the better character, always.
Exactly, yeah.
If we start to sneeze tomorrow, I know where I'm looking. But going back to Doctor Who, it's such an iconic British institution.
Yes,
What's it
yeah.
like to step into a universe that has like 60 plus years of history and like canon things to remember and to incorporate into your writing as well?
It's so broad. There are so many different things you can do. Sometimes your job is to evoke an era. Like, I'm going to write something that really feels like it just, it could have been on TV in 1975, or I'm going to write something that's got no baggage to it, no lore, just a really pure original story. Sometimes it's just, a fun romp, or sometimes it's no. Here's a chance to do something kind of really kind of, angry and political, which you are allowed to. The only time you might get into, because it's a licensed BBC property, there are certain things you can't do. So, bladed weapons are a problem. Swearing's a problem. You can be political, but you can't be party political. That's because obviously, that's from the BBC's point of view, you can understand why. Although I'd argue there are certain parties now where it's life versus anti-life, and party be damned.
Mhm.
Especially when they're not really a party, they're actually a limited company. But that's yeah. There
Okay.
is, you also, just as an employee, and they're my client. You just have, whatever the rules are, you adhere to the company rules, because you're a hired professional, really, and to do a job.
Yeah. I think that's so important, Robin. One of the reasons why Sam and I wanted to do Putting the World to Rights, and why the conversation has been so rich, is because we try not to shy away from the fact that we are telling stories and reading stories and listening to stories and watching them and writing them in a very particular context, which
Yes, yeah.
is always political. And it's just wonderful to hear that. And that certainly has been my experience of you, is that there's always something that you want to say, and there's always, you don't shy away from, delivering a message as well as telling a story through a character. And maybe, like, I know it's a massive question, but can you talk a bit more about what you think the role of a writer in particular, and we'll come to your other hats that you wear as well, later, but in this particular time, which is so extreme, and I mean, the mind boggles really, and we're all watching the same things, we're all reading the same things, and we're all then just trying to crack on. But what role do you think stories and writers play in these kind of times in history?
Well, I was thinking about this as well. I mean, one obvious thing that stories do is it helps you cope and contextualize. I don't think stories can have a profound power to change situations, but if they had that profound a power, we wouldn't be in the situation we're in. So there is a limit to what stories can do, and I'm not naive enough to think there isn't. However, sometimes a story can suddenly shift the culture. But I think also the problem with reality is messy and is essentially meaningless. What storytelling does, and storytelling is something we've been doing for 100,000 years or more, for as long as we've been whatever the hell we are. is it's the application of meaning and structure to chaos. And one of the things I find just therapeutic about writing is just bringing order to whatever little ball of chaos I'm dealing with there, really. But yeah, I don't mean to sound pessimistic, because I think the arts are vitally important, but sometimes the arts aren't enough, and you've got to take to the streets, etc. You know, it's like, right, things are terrible. I'm going to go and write a poem. There is a limit. There is a limit, but I think what they can do is contribute to just general human resilience. What would so and so do? That's I'm not the first person to go through this, or this. So all that kind of thing. So I think really they help. Yeah, stories do what stories always done. They keep the tribe together, and they remind each member of the tribe that this has been done before, and that mountain is surmountable. The wolves are over there. This is what you do when the old lady who lives in the woods tries to eat you. That kind of thing. But in the serious kind of modern context, really, I think they're giving comfort but also strength and encouragement in hard times is possibly what they're most useful for.
Yeah, lovely, very well put.
I'm not right about that. That's my 2 cents.
Yeah,
I might change my mind in an hour from now.
great. Good, good. I hope you do. It's evolving, isn't it? Constantly, and
Yeah.
we're figuring it all out in real time.
Yeah, actually, that's another reason never to go back to once you've written something, just my philosophy is just go on to the next thing, because you're not the person who wrote that anymore, and you might be able to improve it, but
Right.
if the problem's not a craft problem, which you might be better at, you kind of, I think, just you're doing the person who wrote it a disservice by trying to rewrite them. Anyway, that's just by the by. But since we're
That's
talking
very
stories,
helpful.
yeah,
No, all of that, all of these nuggets are so helpful for everyone who's
So
listening.
interesting to hear.
Yeah.
oh, thanks.
As Nina mentioned before, you are multiple things. You're a producer, you're a writer, a director, and they're such big roles on their own. Do you ever feel like each role brings out a new personality within you? And is there
Yeah,
one that you prefer to
yes.
maybe be?
Oh yeah, being a writer and just that's play. Being a writer is just the most fun thing. Being a script editor is very nice, because that's like spotting someone in the gym. I mean, I've script edited you. It's very much my attitude to script editing is here's what the writer is attempting. So my job is to partly to make sure, in a commercial sense, what they're doing is going to work and will work in studio, but also this is what they're going for. How do I help them do it? So it is like helping someone while just spotting someone in the gym while they're doing their reps or whatever. He says like someone who goes to the gym. But directing is great. I prefer directing on camera, because storytelling is told visually. In audio drama, directing, apart from directing the performances, is done by the writer. So blocking, mise en scène, point of view, you type that, and and if I'm ever in the mood for galloping anxiety, then producing. I don't like producing, but I can do it. And in the indie world, if you're not producing yourself, it's not getting done. But the thing is about producing is that's the role where you actually learn how everything works.
Mm.
And I think there is something to be said, if you are a writer or an actor or anything. Try a few other jobs. Like I'm not an actor, but occasionally I might go into the booth and do a few small things. Partly just to remind yourself of what it's like being in the hot seat with the microphone pointed at you. But if you're a writer and you're kind of blind or willfully ignorant even to the realities of production, you're suddenly not a useful person to work with, no matter how talented you are, because it just becomes very apparent. Why are you making life this hard for us? Because we're whatever. But yeah. So I think just producing, you learn how everything works. It's not fun. It's being the wedding planner, not the bride or the groom, or anyone who actually gets to drink while they're there. It is being the wedding planner, but then you just learn how everything works. So it's important, but it is yeah, it's the least fun. Yeah, and it's difficult to write and produce at the same time, or write and cast at the same time, because you've got to be contactable, and you can't. And then I'm not in the zone. I can't focus, and the writing suffers basically. Or the writing has to wait till the other thing's over. So.
It's so many different hats, so many different voices, so many different roles. I know I'd get confused, so I take
Oh, I
my
get.
one
Oh
hat
no, no.
off to you.
I get confused. No, no. Again, no. I don't want to demystify it. I had Derek Jacobi in yesterday, and
Sure.
I was book his car. I forgot to book his taxi home because I've just I never do that, and I did yesterday. I'm really busy at the moment, and I'm starting to make silly mistakes because I'm a little bit punch drunk right now. So yeah. I don't do all these things and function smoothly. It's chaotic, but it's not the medical profession. It's not that. It's inherently not serious or important. So it doesn't. So no one's going to get hurt or die or be bereft. They're just going to have to you know lump certain things or whatever. So it's not important. But yeah, if I work really hard, I'm a competent producer. But the flip side is that it takes my time away from being a pretty good writer.
Yeah.
It's the Peter principle, really. But you unfortunately you do learn more producing. That's the thing.
And I can imagine, as you've said, one informs the other, and it makes you a better whatever hat you're wearing at the time.
Oh yeah, no, actually, just from a writing point of view, you can make decisions at the script level where
Yeah.
I've just made everyone's lives easier,
Yeah.
on the day or in post production or
Yeah.
whatever, and it can be just very little things like I've just made this, I've told these scenes as more economically than I had previously, which means that the production isn't too long, which means the special features documentary will actually fit on at the end, which it wouldn't have done, otherwise. So
All
yeah,
so important. So
yeah,
important.
no,
Well,
exactly, yeah, yeah.
my experience of you, I think I've definitely worked with you as a script editor and also as a director. Um, and one thing that I remember, like having um, delete my play kind of turned into an audio play by Wireless, and you turning up was just a dream come true. And I remember that was the first time we met,
Yes, yeah.
and I was so excited, but I was also very nervous, very self-conscious, and we had the most amazing cast, including Balvin Sopal, who's been in on our a guest on our lives in the past. But one of the things that you did, as well as being so welcoming and warm and brilliant at what you do, was that you had your notes ready, and every scene, and you knew exactly what was going on, and you were working with the engineer, but you were showing me everything that you were doing as a director. And you kept saying, okay, so now I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to do. This is how we go on to the next thing. This is what's needed to make sure that it's all, happened. And you were basically training me up to be an audio director. And I'd only known you about 5 minutes. And it was so incredibly generous. And it also assumed intelligence on my part, and you just didn't need to. You were so bloody busy that day, and it was a team of two, I think, of you, and the actors, and then just me just hovering about. And it was just it really made an impression on me. And I think it speaks to how you work.
Well, yeah, thank you, but I didn't assume intelligence. I read the script. I knew. But yeah, but also, but again, it's the demystifying as well. Just someone told me once, if you don't keep any secrets as a director, again, it's like I will hide behind my cloak and do my thing. No, because you're the writer in the studio. You are a resource, and part of my job and my anxiety is duty is, am I communicating, am I kind of asking for micro adjustments in the performance to better communicate your intention? So yeah, so another reason for keeping that kind of that running commentary is this is what I'm doing, and why I'm doing it. Is this right?
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. If you can do the job while keeping it very clear what you're doing and why, then you can make corrections if you're kind of giving the cast a bum steer. Because sometimes you can, one can just kind of not fundamentally misunderstand a scene, but just partially misunderstand a scene, and that will, then that has either that can be just be full stop fatal, or it can end up having just a gradual cumulative negative effect on the rest of the production, or what have
Mm,
you.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was in very safe hands, that's for sure.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
It really does say a lot about you and how you work, though, like Nina said, though, because so many people are very, what's the word? Like they keep it to themselves. They want that knowledge to get them further. And that's obviously my only impression of you is today, but that couldn't be further from the truth of what I think. And I just think you are a very collaborative worker.
Yeah, well, I think be generous and the rest of it, because that Sunday another airborne contagion will come along and give me a break that'll get me ahead. So yeah.
Oh
So,
God.
but in all seriousness, I do kind of think if you approach this kind of work wrong, you kind of ruin it, and take the fun out of it, and you end up a very long way away from the reason anybody started doing it in the first place. Because again, it all comes out of the nursery. It all comes out of play. It's professional, organized, structured play, and as a script editor, well, this actually began as a director, but when you're directing actors, you have to create a warm, safe environment where they can be vulnerable, take risks. Otherwise, you won't get a performance out of them. And as a script editor, it is no different. You are getting a performance out of your writer, because writing is a performance by a writer. It is no different. It takes longer, but you couch criticism and suggestions and encouragement in the same way to direct the outcome. But yeah, if it's not fun, you're doing it wrong, because in all honesty, none of us are ever paid quite enough, and we're not paid enough for it not to be fun. So
Absolutely.
if it isn't fun, you've screwed up. Really,
Yeah.
that's kind of my thinking.
Well, we've mentioned so many of the projects that you've kind of worked on, and it's so hard to know where to, we've listened to Hypnopolis, we've been, blown away by your
Oh,
work
you
on.
do. Oh, thank you.
Oh yeah, and it was just great. It was great, Rob, and obviously your adaptations of plays, and so many different series as well, and Doctor Who. We obviously are also book lovers, and the fact that you worked on Hal's moving
Oh,
cast is just so
Yeah,
exciting. And
yeah.
talking of fun, could you tell us a little bit about that experience too?
Yeah, it was really hard. I think
Really?
so,
you've both read Howl's.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's a massive book. Sophie has got two whole sisters with two whole Mahusive subplots going on. And I had 57 minutes to tell it. A 1 hour broadcast slot is actually is 57 minutes. So how do you do anything in 57 minutes? And Simon at Battlegap, he runs Battlegap Productions, but he was also my script editor and my producer and the director. So I was working very closely with him, and he was very, very patient with me. But it was that thing of, well, like land speed records. It's like, how do we make this car go faster? Well, how much of this vehicle can we unscrew and throw away and it still go? So really, it was like, how much of this bloody book can I lose? So it's like, fine, so bang, Sophie no longer has sisters, because now it's Sophie in the hat shop, meets the witch, becomes old Sophie, goes to the castle. In the castle, you end up with Sophie, Calcifer, Howl, and Michael. Four people in a moving vehicle bickering. That's Red Dwarf. That's it's and Howl's off doing things, and they fall in love, and the end. So it really is. It's that kind of, how much of this can I chuck away and it still work?
Yeah.
And then also then how much, what do I need to reinvent, what, there's a lot of structural reorganizing going on in terms of the order sequences happen, things like that, what must stay, because the Studio Ghibli version, there's no Wales, there's no, Hal isn't Welsh, you have none of that, so it's like the whole point of doing this Radio 4 is, this is a Welsh book. And the most incredible part of Howl's Moving Castle is you go from the fantasy land of Ingery to blooming Wales, suburban Wales. And then at the end, I had to, just to make the ending work, I had to make up a few bits about the Witch of the Waste and her demon. So I had to come up with a name for her demon. So obviously Calcifer is like Lucifer is the bringer of light. Calcifer is the bringer of warmth. So Pandora, who was all gift giving. So I came up with Pantherma, who was like Calcifer is the bringer of heat. So I came up with Pantherma, who is all warming, as opposed to Pandora. And then her name being discovered became how the whole thing ends. So a bit of reinvention, a lot of reordering, and just a whole load of just jettisoning major subplots and loads of characters. And for several drafts, and I think Simon was despairing for several weeks, but it was kind of like trying to close an overstuffed suitcase going on holiday. It's like, it's not closing, it's not closing, Yeah, it's not closing. I'm starting to cry. And,
Someone sit on it, please.
and the taxi's just pulled up. Yes, it was quite stressful.
We've
But we got
got
there. Yeah.
You really did. And
Yeah.
it's such incredible insight into what it takes to adapt an entire novel into
Yeah.
less than an hour. I mean, that's incredible. We've got a lovely message here that says Rob is brilliant and great at offering advice and inspiration. That is very true. We've had almost a glorious hour of that. And
Oh,
it's just
thank you
so
very
true.
much.
No, it's true. So, we have been finishing our last few lives with a bit of a fun, kind of quick fire, this or that round.
Okay.
So, would you be up for that, Rob?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've got no idea
Ex-
what I'll say though. This is terrifying. Carry on.
Good, good. Like you can veto any of them, but they're pretty gentle. So,
Okay.
are you up for starting, Sam?
I am. Solo writing or writer's room?
Ooh, solo, I think.
Mhm.
Okay.
Morning writing sprints or late night creativity?
Oh, morning. Yeah.
Real world realism or fantastical escapism?
It's all fantastic, really. The real world, the real world stuff is an illusion. Fantastical. Then again, I don't believe in escapism. You're just changing your perspective. But I'll go with the escapism answer anyway, because it's closer to mine.
Maybe more
Yeah.
fantasy than escapism. How about that?
Yes, yeah. The truth is you can never escape. That's the truth.
True. Love that.
Fantastical realism.
Yeah.
Yes, there we go. Yes, love. Yeah, perfect.
Cliffhangers or resolutions?
Resolutions.
Mhm.
Ooh. Clean cut endings or ambiguous endings?
Oh, ambiguous.
Hmm.
Yeah.
One genre or genre blending?
Blending. Yes.
Audio drama is underrated or audio drama is appropriately rated?
Audio dramas appropriately rated, I think.
Ooh.
Big name casting or right fit for the role?
Right fit for the role. We've all seen the ITV Miss Marples. Right fit for the role. Yeah. Yeah.
Adaptation or original?
Original.
Boom.
Yeah.
Ideas/notes in a notebook or voice note memos?
Voice note memos. I mean, I've got loads of notebooks. I've never besmirched any of them by actually writing in them. I just stroke them. Yeah.
You just walk around looking creative.
It's
What
so
else are they
clean.
for?
It's so clean. Yeah.
I feel like I know this one now, but sci-fi or fantasy?
Fantasy.
Boom.
Yeah.
And I think we know this one, but we're going to ask you anyway. Escapism or gritty realness?
Gritty realness.
Mm.
Yeah, because there's no escape. Yes. Yeah.
Prize winner or bestseller?
Bestseller. Show her the money. Yeah. Definitely.
Time jumps or linear?
Linear. I actually strongly think linear storytelling is harder than you think, and sometimes the time jumps is a way of compensating for the fact that a good story well told is really hard. Yeah, linear.
Mm. Series or standalone?
Standalone. Yeah,
Ooh.
I like a
Same.
one shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Mini
And
series
that's
rather than
it.
series. Yeah. Oh, thank you.
That's
Thank you
it,
so
Rob.
much, guys. That was wonderful.
Thank
I had a
you.
lovely
Honestly.
time.
Yeah, it's been incredible. We knew we were going to have a great conversation with you, but it's
Hmm.
been so insightful and really, really unique and original, in terms of your angle on storytelling and your experience and your incredible career. So thank you for being so generous with all your knowledge and your expertise.
And for
Oh,
having the best backlog and giving me the best homework ever. Because this last week has been the best homework of my life.
oh, bless you. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
We've
Thank
been
you.
immersed in the world of Rob for like a week, and it's
Yeah.
been gorgeous. So thank you for that as well. And thank you to everyone who's been watching today. It really is lovely to have you guys, and just great that you've been part of the conversation as well.
Yeah.
Rob, thank you again. And we can't wait to see what you do next.
I
Congratulations
know.
on Young Bond.
Oh,
Fingers crossed for
cheers.
the casting. And
And if it's
yeah,
you, we know why.
yeah.
Just putting it out there.
And just stay very, very well, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, of course. Yes, yeah. Masked up. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. See you soon, Rob.
Yeah, take
Thank
care.
you.
Bye
Thank
for now.
you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for coming on.
Cheers.
And off he goes. Is that Rob done?
I think so.
How
I
lovely.
know.
Well,
I
thank
loved that so much, you know.
Isn't it amazing? He's so prolific and he's so rich in knowledge, but incredibly generous. Like, honestly, from a personal level, it's been lovely working with him, but just lovely to get that insight into a completely different world of storytelling, which
Yeah.
is audio drama, right?
And it was something I was really kind of unaware of. Not unaware of, because obviously audiobooks are a thing, but it's different.
Yeah.
And just kind of getting to hear the insight and all the different thoughts. And he's so prolific and he's done so much of it that it's got a wealth of knowledge that it just makes it seem kind of, where have I been?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
What
what
have I done
and
with my life?
listening to the Big Finish things, I was like, what do you mean I wasn't doing that before? That's so good.
I had to get a taxi for Derek Jacobi, and I forgot. I'm just so busy with the Bond stuff now.
I was like, you are so cool. What?
Yeah, but
Just a
really down
casual
to
name drop. I was like,
really,
God.
and he could have dropped a lot more as well. Like
I'm
he is,
sure.
yeah, so humble as well, and just just an absolute grafter as well. So it
Really
was,
quite funny as well.
yeah, right,
Really
really
quite
sweet.
funny.
Yeah, and a lot of heart as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you everybody for being a part of this. Now next week is our final
Oh,
episode of the series. It's our final live. So I know it's gone so quickly, and I think we're both just a bit blown away by the conversations we've had and the guests we've had on. Um,
my mind is still blown. I'm still on episode 1. I
yeah,
don't know about
same.
you.
No, I want to like pause and just go back and watch all of them because it's been so incredibly rich.
Hmm.
But we do have one more next week, so
We
please do
do.
join us. Who's going to be on the live next week, Sam?
It's a really long. Just us two.
It's just
Just
us.
us. It'll be another book, brew, blanket kind of vibe,
Yeah,
but with a twist because it's the end.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
we really hope that you will join us. And that will be on Wednesday, right?
Yes, it will be
Yes,
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
We'll advertise it as usual, but we really, really hope. Oh, thank you so much, Beck and Angela Zia. Thank you for joining us this week and also next week. And we
Yes.
really hope you'll all join us for the last one this season. It has been amazing. There's so much to reflect on as well. And yeah, it just means the world that you guys are so engaged and that you're part of our little book slag club now.
Book flags for the win, always.
Yeah. So until then, everybody, really look after yourselves. It's crazy,
Yes.
tough, dark times. So we hope that this just brings a ray of light to your
Yes.
week. And
And it'll be a
yeah,
fun one. It'll be exciting. Talking about books. What else do you want to do on a Wednesday evening?
exactly. Come join us. So take
Yes.
care until then, everyone. Sam, thank you as always.
Nina, thank you as always for the most incredible guest.
He's a tonic, isn't he? He's great. And lots of love to you all, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys.